Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome. The doctor is in. Oh, and give me just a moment. I just realized that there is an important program that I need to start up before I continue this stream. There we go. Here we are. I should update any moment now. Okay, perfect. Alright, so, tonight is going to be the finale for Umineko Turn of the Golden Witch. We'll be getting started on that momentarily. Before we do that, though, I've got something I need to real quick take care of here. While I'm waiting, let me make sure that the sound alerts are working.
Hello there.
All right, perfect. Perfect. Okay, yeah, there we go. That's updated now. Okay, awesome. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Oh, and, actually, before I start getting into it... Oh, thank you for the lyric, Mickey. Appreciate you being here. And also, Christonium, thank you for being here. You guys check out Christonium. He's been playing Ark Survival Evolved lately. Go stop by his channel. Check him out. Fun times to be had, to be sure. Alright. Let's get this started. After Genji finished his late meal, he went out to do the nighttime rounds inside the mansion. He'd eaten some reheated soup that Goda had made, along with some random leftovers from the refrigerator. Those were all things Goda had made himself and were, of course, delicious. He had half-heartedly gone to ask Rosa and the others what they would do for dinner, but he had been yelled at by a voice telling him that the canned food they had would be enough, and the door wasn't even opened for him. So ironically, the servant Genji was able to eat a more delicious meal. But why was it that Genji wasn't afraid to do the rounds all by himself, even though all of those crimes had been committed and many people had already met a brutal end? Judging by his appearance as he carried out his usual tasks without a trace of fear, as though everything was normal. And thank you for redeeming first, Christonium. Nice to see someone actually use that. You might think all of the horrible events that day had been no more than a dream or an illusion. Was he taking a philosophic view, or had he just accepted his fate? Genji must have considered it a virtue that, when the fate that awaited him was unavoidable, he'd carry out his duty systematically until the last moment. The depths of his heart would probably remain hidden for all eternity unless he spoke of them himself. He had returned his master key to Rosa, so the places he could reach were extremely limited. All he could do was walk around the hallways, checking to make sure all the windows were closed. That probably made his rounds go a lot faster than usual. At the sound of a reserved knock, At the sound of a reserved knock, Aunt Rosa, who'd been falling into a doze, jumped and woke up, pointing the barrel of the gun at the door as she yelled, "Who is it?" I was napping on a sofa, and that voice also brought me back to reality. "Rosa-sama, it is I, Genji. Do you have some business? Don't worry about opening the door. Tell us from there." "Yes, ma'am. In that case, forgive me for speaking in this fashion. I have found Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa's corpses." What did you say? I see. Very well, let's go and check them. Until I see the corpses, I won't believe anyone. Ooh, it's okay, Battler. If you stay with me, it'll definitely be okay. Maybe my face seemed to be darkened with anxiety. Maria grasped my hand with her small hand and spoke softly, trying to give me courage. Since it was Aunt Rosa's job to ready the gun and stand guard, it fell to me to remove the barricade of sofas. When I finished, I took a backwards glance at Aunt Rosa, who was pointing the barrel of the gun over my shoulder, and opened the door. "Genji-san, where are their corpses?" "In the courtyard. I shall guide you." "Battler-kun, wait! Just in case, let's check the doors and windows of this room. Wait a second." Aunt Rosa called me to a halt to prevent me from going on ahead and began to carefully check the locks on each of the windows. But those locks had already been checked once. It felt kind of unpleasant, as though she suspected that I might have secretly unlocked them when she wasn't looking. Now, maybe Aunt Rosa was right to be this cautious. Though it was called a courtyard, it wasn't really a pretty place you could take a walk in, like the Rose Garden. On the contrary, since it was surrounded by the mansion on all sides, it made you feel a little uncomfortable, as though it was telling you that there would be no escape from this mansion no matter where you tried to run. On the other hand, that meant that even though we could still hear the violent winds, the wind itself was blocked. Genji-san held out an umbrella, but Aunt Rosa ignored him. She was probably hinting that the gun took two hands and it would be dangerous if she took the umbrella. We didn't need Genji-san pointing for us to notice. Right in the center of the courtyard, we could see where Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san lay. Aunt Rosa entered the courtyard without even opening an umbrella, so Genji and I also entered the courtyard without opening one. Only Maria opened hers. "Maria, is this... you know what?" "Ooh, it's the 7th and 8th Twilights." And it sounds like we've got obituaries, guys. Let's take a look. Characters. Nanjo Terumasa. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Okay, so Nanjo is his family name. Very good. His corpse, which had gone missing, was later found in the courtyard. At that time, it was found with a weapon shaped like a stake, having been rammed into the knee. That finishes up the 7th Twilight. Kumasawa Chiyo, her corpse, which had gone missing, was later found in the courtyard. At that time, it was found with a weapon shaped like a stake, having been rammed into her the ankle. That finishes up the 8th Twilight as well. I see. Certainly, just as Genji-san and the others said, these are horrible wounds on their necks. The cuts are quite sharp, almost as though they were sliced with a katana or something. Those gaping wounds on their decks definitely make me want to avert my eyes. But after seeing that Halloween party in the chapel, even though they looked horrible, they were no longer enough to make me feel sick. More importantly, our gazes fell to their legs, to Dr. Nanjo's knee, to Kumasawa-san's ankle. Driven into each of them was something like a knife or a stake with a demonic design. They must have been the same as the thing that had pierced Jessica's back. What is this? Is this like what happened to Jessica-chan? Is this supposed to be some kind of occult ceremony, I wonder?
I do not know. The last time I saw their bodies, there was nothing like these. Maybe it was done after they were carried out of the servant room.
The one stuck into Dr. Nanjo's knee was still standing erect, but the one that had been thrust into Kumasawa-san's ankle might have been a little shallower. It had come out and fallen over. So, by looking at the one that had fallen over, for the first time I realized that it wasn't a knife, but something like a stake. Its full length was probably about 30 centimeters. It was probably made out of bronze or iron or something of the sort. Even without touching it, I could tell it had some weight to it. Hold on. There we go. It was composed of a grip and a cone-shaped part. It was obviously made to be a piercing weapon. Maybe it was like a miniature version of those lances Western knights used on horseback. The spiral-shaped ditches in it made it also look like a small drill. However, the grip had an occult design modeled off a demon or something. So instead of a weapon used in war, it felt like something that would be used in a ceremony to offer up living sacrifices. Kalima! There's no mistake. They're meant to be sacrifices.
On the 7th twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th twilight, gouge the leg and kill.
Wait a sec. That means they've left out the 4th, the 5th, and 6th twilights. Could it be... Of course. Why is Genji-san alone? If something like this has happened, why aren't George Aniki, Goda-san, and Shannon-chan here? Why was Genji-san alone? What's going on? Where did George-kun and the others two go?
They said they wanted to search for something in Madame Natsuki's room. They left. They have not returned yet.
What did you say? You say they left, but when was that?
2 or 3 hours ago, I believe.
No way! Why did you tell us something that... wait, no, why did you think that was suspicious?
There must be at least one servant on standby at all times. It was my duty to wait for orders until they returned.
Was Genji-san really this much of a robot? This is bad. This is bad. This is really bad. Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san were killed like this, which means that 3 people have already been killed. We ran toward Aunt Natsuki's room with a touch of anxiety and just as much resignation. Before we even saw the inside of Aunt Natsuki's room, we were forced to resign ourselves to a certain fact. On that door was a bizarre scribble. Filth? Anyway, the room wasn't in an ordinary state, and without even opening the door, we could imagine what we'd find inside. On the face of the door, how should I say it? Handprints, done heavily with the same red paint as the magic circles from before. Had banged on the door, scratched at it, dirtied it. It looked like the aftermath of a kindergartner playing in the mud. I didn't know what it could mean. The bright red paint that had been slathered on was dripping down, and even though no one said it, it made us think of blood. Genji-san, please open it. Aunt Rosa held her gun up high and ordered Genji-san to open the door. Genji-san approached it without seeming particularly troubled by that stuff on it and turned the knob, but immediately turned around, shaking his head. It was locked. At that moment, there was only one person in this mansion who could lock and unlock doors at will, Aunt Rosa. This time, Genji-san asked Aunt Rosa to unlock the door instead of the other way around. After frowning slightly for a second, Aunt Rosa has handed me a master key and told me to open the door. Battler-kun, would you open it for me with this? Just trusting Genji-san with something like that wouldn't... Aunt Rosa glared at me intensely. Getting into a fight here would only make the mood turn even more sour. Without talking back anymore, I approached that creepy door and tried the knob. It didn't open. It was definitely the resistance of the lock. I stuck the master key into the keyhole. There was a slight resistance. Aunt Rosa told me to be on my guard, and I opened the door without really guarding myself in any way. And then there was a scene laid out before us that didn't betray my expectations at all. Horrible. As I thought, it's a reproduction of the 4th, 5th, and 6th Twilights. We've got obituaries, guys. That's tips. We need obituaries. Hold on. Okay, so Goda... Where is he? Goda Toshiro died in Natsuhi's room, with his chest having been pierced like a weapon shaped like a stake. On the 5th Twilight, gouged the chest and killed. The chef's goose was cooked. Ushiromiya George died in Natsuhi's room, with his stomach having been pierced by a weapon shaped like a stake. On the 6th Twilight, gouged the stomach and killed. It's hard to say, but they might have been the 2nd Twilight. It's hard to say, but they might have been the 2nd. Oh, okay, they, gotcha. That will become apparent once I read this one. Shannon died in Natsuhi's room, with her forehead having been pierced like a weapon shaped like a stake. On the 4th Twilight, gouged the head and killed. She got to spend her last moments with the man she loved. And between the two of them, they might have been the 2nd Twilight, but Canon and Jessica filled those roles. Ooh. The inside of the room looked as though a robber had just broken in. Drawers had been flung open, pulled out, and had their contents thrown about all over the place, leaving the room so cluttered you'd never believe it belonged to the methodical Aunt Natsuhi. The very first thing that caught our eyes was Goda-san's corpse lying face down right in front of the door. Right in the center of his chest, almost as though it had been stuck there to finish off a vampire, was one of those demon stakes from before. Exactly how far could it have reached after being stuck that deeply into his chest? Just imagining it would make anyone's chest hurt. Wasn't gouging the chest the 5th Twilight? Ooh. Maria grabbed my hand. Her expression looked just like normal. And maybe she really was afraid of the aura in this room where the 3 corpses lay. Along the wall farthest into the room, George Aniki lay dead. This time one of those stakes had been rammed right into the center of his stomach. Wasn't gouging the stomach the 6th Twilight? Shannon Chan's corpse was face down in front of the dresser, lying in a sea of blood. Had she seen her own face at the end in that horribly broken mirror stained with blood? Because she was lying that way, I couldn't see her face, but I could guess even without seeing it. Nearby, in the sea of blood she lay in, a demon's stake had fallen. Only the 4th Twilight was left. Gouge the head and kill. Maybe my heart was totally worn out and dead. Even though I knew it was wrong, I lifted her head and checked. And I confirmed that my guess had been right on the mark. There was a gaping hole in Shannon Chan's head, and the insides were dripping out. Not only that, but you could even see inside her. After seeing that, I finally realized I was doing something wrong. I immediately averted my eyes, but now it was probably pointless. Hey, Battler-kun! You mustn't touch anything until the police come! What do you think you're doing touching it? What we do if our precious evidence on the scenes gets disturbed? Aunt Rosa got violently mad at me and even tugged at the back of my collar. I tottered limply and fell on my butt,
gazing dimly up at the ceiling. Maria? Who? With this, even the 8th twilight is over. What was the 9th twilight again? On the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. I see. After this, the golden witch Beatrice will be revived. What then? On the final 10th twilight. On the 10th twilight, at journey's end, you shall attain to the power of the Golden Land's treasures once and for the last time. Very soon, the door to the Golden Land will be opened. Very soon. The witch shall be revived and none shall be left alive, huh? We're gonna die now? Or does this mean the ceremony of sacrifice is over and that now, at journey's end, we shall reach the Golden Land? Our journey. Yeah, right. We spent the whole day trying to find the culprit, racking our brains as we tried to break out of the situation. We haven't gotten anywhere. Like they say, thinking stupid is no better than sleeping. That's right. We spent the whole day burning ourselves up with hatred and paranoia. We were so sure we could only trust the dead. That we came all the way here just to confirm these 3 deaths with our own eyes. If we're like this, why? Should we be able to make it to the Golden Land? That's right. If we couldn't resolve any of our problems anyway, it would have been so much better if we'd locked ourselves up this whole time without thinking at all. Grandfather's the wisest of us. He's been shut up in his room since yesterday without any contact with anyone. That was the right decision. Grandfather was the most correct of us all. I mean, technically, since yesterday, he has had contact with Genji and Shannon, but, you know, they're the only ones that have been allowed. Well, no. Rosa said she spoke to him, so... Okay, 1 second here. That's right. Rosa had said that Kinzo was... yeah, Kinzo was Shannon and Genji's alibi for Jessica's murder. It's okay, Battler. If you're with me, you'll be okay. The witch is very fickle, and she's a terrifying being who might kill humans partly for fun sometimes. However, if you're with me, you'll be okay. So don't be afraid. Thank you. Even if you're just saying it to console me, I'm glad. After Aunt Rosa had finished investigating their corpses, she'd announced that she'd seal this room again, chased the rest of us out, stole back the master key she'd lent me, and locked the door again. Apparently, George Aniki had been holding the key to Aunt Natsuhi's room. She also collected that. Wait a sec. She's got all the master keys on her person. If Natsuhi's own key was locked up inside this room, doesn't that make it another closed room? So what, is this the 4th closed room? Now that the suspicion surrounding those 3 had been cleared, we returned to the parlor once more. I don't have a clue what's going on anymore. If only the dead are innocent and everyone alive is a wolf. That leaves only me, Aunt Rosa, Maria, and Genji-san. And besides us, there's only Grandfather and that 19th person, the guest we've seen no trace of, Beatrice. 13 people have died and 6 are left. How would a wolves and sheep puzzle with only 6 people end? Even though a puzzle that started with 19 people has been reduced to 6, I can't think of an answer. We returned to the parlor. I was a bit worried that while we were gone, a creepy magic circle or something might have been drawn on the parlor door, but thankfully we didn't find anything like that. Thank you, Genji-san. This is far enough. Please rest for the day.
Certainly. Then please excuse me.
Hey, Aunt Rosa, are you saying you'll leave Genji-san all alone in a situation like this? That's right. I do think it's quite dangerous. But in that case, why is he safe? After those three headed to Aunt Natsuhine's... After those three headed to Natsuhine-san's room, he was alone the whole time. And yet he's safe. It's a wolves and sheep puzzle. Why would a sheep be safe if it was all alone and therefore in its weakest possible position? Probably because by coincidence there weren't any wolves around? Wrong. It's because it wasn't a sheep. Are you saying Genji-san's a wolf? He said he was alone in the kitchen, but that's impossible to prove. The only ones that could have carried Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa's corpses, who could have killed George and the rest, were him and Beatrice, right? Sorry, Beatrice, right? Wait, with that argument, anyone...
Badalu-sama, thank you for your concern. I believe trust is won not with 100 excuses, but with simple faithfulness. Even if I am not able to gain your trust, I wish to be faithful until the end.
Genji-san. Then we're decided. If you truly are innocent, the police will prove that for us when they come tomorrow. So until then, we cannot remove you from suspicion. After your long years of service, I find it truly painful to treat you so poorly. But please understand about tonight. And when tomorrow comes, please let us make up again. Genji-san gave his head a small shake.
Today and tomorrow, I will continue to be a servant of the Ushiromiya family. If you need anything, please say so at any time. Then, if you will excuse me.
After hearing all that, there was nothing left to say. Genji-san bowed deeply and left down the hall. Then we entered the room. Even though Aunt Rosa still held all the master keys herself, she thoroughly checked the inside of the parlor again. She opened the curtains and checked again to make sure the windows were locked. As I watched, how should I say it? I felt like it didn't really matter anymore. If I said anything careless, it would turn into another fight. For a while, I gazed at her from the corridor, figured I'd just waited just about long enough, and entered the parlor behind her. If she doesn't trust anyone in the dead, why doesn't she just go around killing everyone with the gun she's got in her hand? And then, in the end, she'll realize that she herself is the wolf. Then she can just blast through the head of the final wolf and close the curtain on this insane murder drama. As I thought that bitterly, I returned to the sofa where I'd been encamped before, rudely resting both of my feet on the table. When I tried to do that, I found something there and stopped moving my feet. What is this? Right there, almost as though it had been addressed to me, was a Western envelope. It was that envelope from before, with the seal of the one-winged eagle. And it was unopened. Wait. What is this? Who put it in a place like this? And when? Until I went with everyone to check the corpses, I was sitting here the whole time. And there wasn't anything there then. And when I returned, it was here. It's okay. Everything's still locked up securely. This room is safe. I heard Rosa muttering that. Wait. We made sure this room was safe when we left it. We checked that the windows were all perfectly locked. Then we locked it up, came back, and the windows were still locked. Wait, who put this letter here? And how? I opened the letter. 2 pieces of stationery came out. The first page had a magic circle drawn on it with something like blood. If I asked Maria, she'd probably know what it meant. And there was writing on the other page. Have you made progress in solving the epitaph? In just a short while, your time will be up in a flash. The 9th twilight will begin quite soon. There was no mistake. It was a letter from Beatrice. Oh? Battler, what is that? When we came in here just now, it was sitting right here. What happened, Maria? Huh? Battle-kun, that letter! Wait, it was sitting right here. Why? Even though we checked to make sure this room was locked. Why? Why? Maria, come here. Aunt Rosa closed her eyes just a little, and after thinking silently for a moment, told Maria to come. Maria obeyed her mother's words. As she did, something unbelievable happened. Aunt Rosa pointed the barrel of that gun at me. Battle-kun, I've concluded that you are a wolf. But why? When I came into the room just now, I saw that there was nothing at all on the table, and I know that Maria did not approach that table. We're talking about a short stretch of time, but the only one who claims to have approached the table and found the letter is you. How can you... Wait, that's all screwed up! How would I put something like this here? Wait, I just found something suspicious and reported it, right? Why are you suspecting me? Well, if we were to use Among Us terminology, she's thinking it's a self-report. Because only you could have sent that letter there! That's right, this is all a charade. You pulled an envelope from your pocket and then acted as though you just found it. To create the illusion that the witch entered a closed room, set down a letter, and left. Dumbass! Are you thinking like that again? Are you going to suspect me? Because of something like that? Cut it out! My dad and everyone else were killed. Why would I take part in the culprit's scheme? True. Even if you were offered a large sum of money, I don't want to believe in the existence of the sort of demon who could sell out their own parents. Then again, maybe such a demon does exist. No, that's a bad way to say it. What if you didn't view Rudolph, Nissan, and Kirie-san as your parents? What? Think about what you're saying! Dad is dad, right? Of course I'm not so related to Kirie-san by blood, but she's like a big sister to me. No way in hell I'll let a comment like that slide, you bastard! Ooh! Stop it! Ooh! Stop saying ooh! I'm sorry, that was a bad way to put it. True, Ushiromiya Battler-kun may be Rudolph Nissan's child. But are you really that Battler-kun? What the hell are you talking about? If I'm not Battler, who else do I look like? All of us, including Rudolph Nissan, are seeing you for the first time in 6 years. No one can prove that you really are Ushiromiya Battler, right? Maybe you aren't Battler, but someone who snuck in, making a skillful bid to steal the wealth of the Ushiromiya family. Can you clearly prove that you're Ushiromiya Battler? Right here, right now! Cut it out, damn it! I'm me! Ushiromiya Battler! If you're gonna suspect even things like that, are you really Ushiromiya Rosa? I'm myself, no one else. Yeah, that's right, it's just you say you can't trust anyone but corpses and yourself. You know that far, let me make an objection. George Aniki and the others were found dead and Aunt Natsuki's room was locked. George Aniki had the key to that room, right? And by now, the only one with a master key is you, Aunt Rosa, right? Aren't you the only one who could have unlocked that room? My theory goes like this. You're in contact with the real culprit, and while I wasn't looking, you lent them one of the 5 master keys. I didn't do something like that. See, there are 5 of them here, right? As if that matters. You could have had them set it in a prearranged spot and collected it, right? And weren't you the one who doubted whether there really were 5 master keys? So how do you suggest that someone other than yourself placed that letter there? Until you find proof someone else did it, you're a wolf. Shut up! And why don't you show me some proof? How do you claim the culprit killed George Aniki and the rest in that closed room? How did they lock it? That's exactly right. Natsuhi's room was exactly the same, just like usual. The doors and windows were locked from the inside. There were no frauds or tricks, no means of secret passage, nor places in which to hide. Natsuhi's only key was in George's pocket and locked inside the room. That leaves only the 5 master keys, and Rosa was holding all of them. And while I'm at it, the parlor is the same. The key to the parlor itself is sealed away in the servant room, so unlocking it with anything but a master key is impossible. The locked room definition of the room is the same as always. Come on now, there's only one suspect. Or are you still playing innocent Ushiromi, a butler? Shut up! You shut up too! You're the one who should shut up. How do you claim the letter was placed here by anyone other than you? Unless you can prove such a thing happened, you're a wolf. If we can suspect me, then we can suspect you too, so try showing me some proof yourself. And anyway, weren't you the first person to enter this room and start checking the windows, Aunt Rosa? Then you'd guess that I'd go back to where I've been sitting and secretly put the letter there. It's possible for her to suspect that this is a trap of yours, right? Why would I use a trap like that? If I was a wolf, I'd shoot you with this gun without question. That proves nothing! Maybe you chose the roundabout way of setting a clever trap because you couldn't commit murder in front of Maria. All the master keys are in your hands. So what happened, both here and in the last room, was all you're doing, right? If you think you can talk your way out of this, then let's hear your excuses. That's right. You've been suspicious from the start, Aunt Rosa. Why is it that even though 6 adults in the family conference were killed, you're the only exception? Why were you the only one not in that chapel? There can only be one reason. You invited the dad and the rest there and killed them. Damn it, damn it. That explains everything, doesn't it? Don't fuck with me, don't fuck with me. Stop saying things that don't make sense! Ooh! Stop it! You mustn't fight! Mama too, Ballard too, stop it! Stop it! It's no one's fault. It's not Ballard's or Mama's fault. The witch did all of this. It was done with magic. It's no one's fault. Ooh. Maria thrust herself in between Aunt Rosa and me as the blood started rising to our heads. Excuse me. I was taken aback by Maria's crying voice and returned to my senses. I had acted shamefully just now, my eyes filled with tears. That's right. It's all the witch's fault, isn't it? All this about keys and tricks and alibis. All of it was stupid. Even though it's the work of the witch, we weren't even able to trust each other as humans. Right, Aunt Rosa? From the beginning, there wasn't a human culprit. It was all the work of the witch. So there's no way you're the culprit. And there's no way Maria Genji's son or I am either. Why has it come to this? Why am I screaming at Aunt Rosa, who I loved? Why am I having this fight? With the kind aunt I love so much. Why? Why does everyone have to suspect each other? I'm not gonna suspect my aunt. I'm not gonna suspect anyone. It's all the work of the witch. It's all the work of Beatrice. It's all a crime that Beatrice committed with magic. Beatrice, please show yourself here. Confess to us that you did everything. I'm sorry already. I'm sorry we've been suspecting each other like this. So forgive us. Release us. Release us from this hell of suspecting each other until we see each other die. Give me my kind relatives and my cousins back. I hate it. I hate it all. You definitely exist. It's your victory. Show yourself. Beatrice. Beatrice. Am I Still alive.
Apparently some time ago, Kinzo had fallen into a doze. He searched for his spectacles and looked at the clock. It was 10 p.m.
That person's ceremony. Let's see, how far has it progressed? It must have come quite far by this time.
Kinzo lifted his heavy body from the chair and approached the portrait of the witch that he had gazed at every day.
Beatrice, very soon I will have a chance to be reunited with your smile. I care not if I die. If I can just see your smile one more time, I will not regret this life. So, for heaven's sake, let me meet with you one more time. And let me swear my love to you. Let me apologize for my crimes. Oh! I won't let you escape. You are mine. From your hair to your toenails to the dirt under your toenails, you are mine. Every fragment of your flesh is mine. Even the broth of your corpse is mine. I won't let you escape. This time you won't slip from my hands. I'll make you mine for all eternity. I'll never let you escape a second time. I'll never let you escape a second time.
Kinzo howled in rage, then suddenly fell to his knees as he shook and scraped at the wall. In an instant, he had started sobbing.
That's wrong. I didn't want to say something like this, Beatrice. Please, let me see you one more time. Even if you only let me apologize. Ah, Beatrice! Ah! You are beloved, yearned for. I was mistaken. If you would just smile, I wouldn't need anything else. I made a mistake. I made a mistake back then. I did something that cannot be taken back. In atonement, I have offered the whole remainder of my life. In order to apologize to you. In order to atone for my sins. I offered everything. Please, even if it must happen as I die, at least let me apologize just once. Beatrice!
As Kinzo shook and cried, a butterfly appeared out of nowhere behind his small back, like a flake of gold leaf, and softly descended.
You fool, Kinzo. Did you think any woman out there would fall for a man's tears? Well, even if it wouldn't make a human woman fall for you, it might do the trick for a woman who is not human. Kinzo, do you remember that game of chess you played with me, which is still ongoing?
Kinzo, as though he had suddenly remembered something, approached the chess set. It was as it had been during the game he'd played with Nanjo until yesterday. After knocking all the pieces off the chessboard, he began to line them up again, one by one. It was a setup for an ongoing game.
That's right. That's like this. I advanced my queen. That was quite a spectacular move. Perhaps it was a little too intense for you. I worried whether you'd abandon your piece or not. Worried for so long.
Kinzo waited with the opposite seat empty. Surely very soon his opponent would appear there, and he would be able to restart this game again.
You fool, Kinzo. You want to apologize? You want to see my face again? you want to make my smile an eternal thing, why can't you say a much, much simpler word, even though that is the sole element of this world?
At that time, Kinzo muttered. Was it a prayer? An entreaty? It was probably best just to call it muttering. I love you, Beatrice. They were pure words, like something an innocent child would say, without any evil intent.
You really are a fool, Kinzo. If you ever have the chance to do your life over again, know that those words would never cause a woman to fall for you. That's right, not unless a miracle happens. That's what makes this.
At that moment, Kinzo definitely heard a small knock, one with a tempo that differed from those of the servants. Who is it?
The woman beyond the door didn't answer.
I'm asking who you are! Will you not answer?
The woman beyond the door didn't answer.
Could it be? Oh, could it be? Beatrice? Beatrice! Beatrice!
The woman beyond the door answered. On the 9th twilight the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive.
Battler's figure was in the dining hall. He didn't feel like going back to the guest house in the middle of all this rain, and wandered half-heartedly around the mansion in search for any place where he could sit before setting up camp in the dining hall. He didn't even lock the door. He thought the shapeless murderer, or maybe the Golden Witch, might come to kill him now that he was isolated, but he no longer had any desire to resist. He didn't even feel like using a locked door to hold off the culprit. He wanted that person to come at him openly from the front. If it was the killer, he wanted to ask them about some of those wonderful closed rooms tricks as a parting gift. If it was the witch, he hoped she'd at least take his life with some spectacular magic. However, ironically, neither of these two came to meet him. Excuse me, one moment. Sorry, nose is a little stuffed up after that last scene. Okay. Battler opened the liquor cabinet on his own and enjoyed the liquor to his heart's content. No longer was there anyone to scold him for drinking alcohol. He boldly rested his legs on the extravagant... He boldly rested his legs on the extravagant tablecloth and savored the high-quality liquor, which probably had a mind-boggling price, drinking it down straight from the bottle. Then, someone knocked. Battler realized that someone had finally come to greet him.
Hey, it's not locked. Whoever you are, please come in. And go ahead and introduce yourself. If you're human, please give me your name. If you're Beatrice, please tell me your bust size. I may look it, but I'm well known as a breast sommelier, you see. No, sommelier. That's right. I can pronounce words.
It is Genji, Battler-sama.
Genji-san, huh? Sorry, but I got no interest in your bust size. Please come in. It's unlocked.
Excuse me.
Genji-san opened the door and bowed. So is Genji-san the criminal after all? Or maybe an accomplice? That theory would probably explain most of the tricks. Did you come to give me my last rites?
Nothing of the sort. I apologize if I'm disturbing you.
Hey, saying I'm sorry without even telling me what you want is actually pretty creepy. What do you want? You gonna tell me that drinking alcohol is forbidden for minors? I'll just die anyway. Please, let me do what I want now that it's all about to end.
Battler-sama, do you love alcohol so much that you would spend the little time you have left drinking?
Those words pierced me. It wasn't true. I just can't cope if I don't drink. I can't even taste the alcohol at all.
You were just like the master. Indeed, you inherited the master's blood strongly.
You mean grandfather, the heavy drinker, was drinking to drown his sorrows the whole time? First I've heard of it.
After a number of sad incidents, the master's life was reduced to one of atonement alone.
What is it you know?
Beatrice's ceremony was completed when the 8th twilight ended. I believe I can tell you everything now.
What did you say? My drunkenness was completely blown away. I lowered my feet from the table and listened carefully to hear what Genji would say next.
Battler-sama, I shall guide you to the master's study. It would probably be best to hear it directly from both the master and...
From both grandfather and... Hey, what do you mean by that?
Come, this way. I shall guide you. Battler-sama.
After Genji-san told me to follow him, he started to walk down the corridor. I threw my drunkenness off completely and went after him. Right, almost completely. We climbed a big staircase towards the 3rd floor. Genji-san stopped walking halfway. He then turned back and spoke.
Battler-sama, from here on, you will probably see things you will not be able to understand.
I don't think that'll scare me. I've already seen enough incomprehensible things today to make me sick.
Please accept what you see as you see it, and accept what you hear as you hear it. Why? What? There is no need for questions like that. You will learn the truth, and that is all. I will leave it completely up to you, Battler-sama, whether to accept it, believe it, or deny it.
Genji-san checked one last time to see whether I was prepared to know the truth. The 8th twilight had already ended. In the 9th twilight, the witch would revive, and nobody would be left alive. It meant that Beatrice had already been revived, and it probably also meant that none of us would be allowed to return alive. I was going to lose my life anyway. I wanted to know the truth in the end. Didn't matter how hard it might be to accept. Yeah. Even if a demon or witch shows up, I'm prepared.
Indeed, you were just like the master in his youth. Battler-sama, please be diligent in your studies. In the future, you will surely have great aspirations. And when that time comes, see to it that you are never forced to regret a lack of study and training.
I'd be happy to, assuming I ever get a chance to work hard in my studies. Genji-san's silence felt like it was further confirming a certain resigned feeling I had. And then, the door to grandfather's study, surrounded by a sweet smell, came into sight. Genji-san took a gold key with an elegant design out from his pocket. The master keys had been confiscated by Aunt Rosa, but he'd kept the key to this study alone on his person. He put it in the keyhole, and it made a heavy clunking sound.
Master, it is I, Genji. I brought Battler-sama with me.
There's no reply, but it seemed that permission to go inside had been given.
Come, Battler-sama. Please, go in.
Okay, I'll go in. Ready myself, threw the door open. In that moment, I got slightly disoriented by the dazzling golden glow. It is unbelievably a swarm of butterflies that shone gold. The gold butterflies that completely filled the inside of the study all poured out at once. What is this? It was almost like golden leaf confetti. The interior of Grandfather's study was filled with a golden glow. And on a sofa-like reception chair in front of the study desk, I could see Grandfather's back. There was someone on the side opposite from Grandfather. It was in shadow, so I couldn't see it well.
Master, I brought Battler-sama.
Battler, is it? I'm busy thinking now. Be silent for a while.
Kinzo declared that unhappily his back still turned. It seemed that he was enjoying a chess game with a visitor. Apparently, the opponent had counterattacked with a superb move. Kinzo seemed to be enjoying himself as he thought deeply while occasionally laughing and groaning. I have thought for 30 years. I have thought for 30 years about how to counter this move. Have fun with the move I have fermented for 30 years.
Indeed, this is a deeply mature move. What fun! What fun! I see I'm no match for you. What is this?
So you came, Battler. I've been waiting for a while. Be silent for Kinzo's sake. Isn't it too early to resign, Kinzo? I could have countered that move in several ways already. Should have been my first meeting with that witch. However, I knew this witch. Even though it was our first meeting, I knew her from the portrait. Genji, serve some alcohol for Battler. What would be an appropriate liquor for this man?
That which the master has loved since the days of his youth.
Good, good. Serve it. You did well coming here, Ushiromiya Battler. First, sit down. You called my name many times, did you not? In deference to that, I allowed you to meet me. So what will you ask me? What will you inquire? The door of the Golden Land will soon be opened. Soon we will have a banquet to celebrate my revival, at which I will be welcoming in the witches. In the meantime, I'll answer your questions. As many as you like.
I've got a bunch of things I want to ask. What happened on this island? And why did incidents like these occur?
I want to ask about the closed rooms, too.
What about the chapel? What about Jessica's room? And the servant room? And Aunt Natsuhi's room? And the parlor? There's so much more I want to ask. About the witch's true nature. Is Beatrice really a witch? What's your goal? What do you mean to speak to? Why did you call me here? Answer me about everything. Be quiet. You think you'll get answers if you ask?
Don't say that, Kinzo. A fragile and fleeting spiderweb did offer protection from King Herod once. Just like there's no useless things in this world, there are also no useless questions. Very well, I'll answer all your questions. But only on one condition. What is it? If you hear everything and are able to accept my existence, then you will kneel and kiss my shoes. I called you here because I wanted to make you surrender to me. Kinzo and I made a bet. We bet on which would come first, Kinzo thinking of a new move or me making you surrender. I don't think I'll lose.
Damn you, talking so tough. Yeah, alright, try and convince me. Try and convince me that you're a witch who can use weird, awesome, powerful magic. If I surrender, I'll kiss you or do anything else.
The witch cackled gloatingly. Then she glared at him unpleasantly with eyes that said a man can't go back on his word. Well said! So from what question shall I begin? I'll answer everything. Come, what will the first one be?
and the witch began to tell of everything. Pay attention, because I don't know if I can keep up with this. She started providing answers to all of Battler's questions. Everyone made logical sense, everyone satisfying, and Battler was forced to admit witches truly did exist. The rest is a story that need not be told. After toppling the king and resigning, all that remains is to reflect upon one's moves and set up the pieces once more. Second game, Turn of the Golden Witch result. Ushiromiya Kraus died in the first Twilight, chosen by the key to the Golden Land and sacrificed. Ushiromiya Natsuhi, Eva, Hideyoshi, Rudolph, and Kyrie ditto. Ushiromiya Jessica died on the second Twilight, back pierced by the stake of Asmodeus. Servant Canon died on the second Twilight, chest pierced by the stake of Satan. Servant Shannon died on the fourth Twilight, forehead gouged by the stake of Manon. Go to fifth Twilight, chest, Beelzebub. George, sixth Twilight, stomach, Lucifer. Nanjo, knee, Belphegor. Kumasawa, leg, Leviathan. The witch Beatrice revived on the ninth night. She will finally open the door to the Golden Land. Ushiromiya Kinzo, missing on the 10th Twilight, accepted the witch, prostrated himself, and was invited to the Golden Land. Rosa denied the existence of the witch and was not invited. Maria accepted witch, invited. Genji accepted, invited. Battler, missing on the 10th Twilight. Will he accept the witch and be invited to the Golden Land? The witch shall praise the wise and grant 4 treasures in the Golden Land. There they chose to revive the souls of the dead and the love they possess, because what they desire could not be gained from a mountain of gold, no matter how high. For Kinzo, his lost loved one. For Maria, the lost love of her mother. For Genji, a peaceful sleep. Rest in peace, Beatrice. May your slumber never be disturbed again. The winner is the Golden Witch, Beatrice. Since of the 18, none solved the riddle of the Golden Time. All 18 died. When the seagulls cried, none were left alive.
Good, that's still working.
Thank you for the slow clap, Christonium. Not enough people use that one. Where are you, Beatrice? Show yourself! Beatrice! Oh, gosh dang it. Forgot, that's Rosa I'm talking about, so she'd just be saying Beatrice. Anyway, I'm not going to reread it. Rosa finally arrived at the chapel. She pointed her gun around her, screaming the witch's name, but there was no way she would receive an answer. After grimacing slightly, she noisily approached the table where her siblings' corpses still lay exposed, and stretched out her arm towards a gold ingot. It was very heavy, but Rosa didn't mind. She wrapped that one up in a blanket and threw it over her shoulder. At least, just this one. This alone should be worth over 10 million. Without letting go of her gun, Rosa picked up the gold as well. Her shoulders were screaming, but Rosa didn't mind. It will happen very soon. Very soon the door to the Golden Land will open. Stop laughing with that creepy voice. Where is Beatrice? Yeah, I know she's around here somewhere, right? You know where, right? Where is she? I don't know. Even if you search for her, you'll be able to see her. Even if you don't search for her, you'll be able to see her in the Golden Land. Ouch! Stop laughing like that! It almost makes me want to laugh. That's right, that was definitely a witch. Definitely a witch. I didn't understand. I thought she was a human calling herself a witch, but I was wrong. That really was a witch. I won't be fooled by something like that. You're there, right? Come out, show yourself. Beatrice! I told you she'll appear very soon. The door to the Golden Land will be opened.
That's right. Isn't that splendid? I care not. I abandon that rook. You, woman, are a king that cannot be reached without the resolve to lose everything one has. I'll quarter you, Beatrice! At least call me a queen. Oh, what a brilliant move. So your blood, no, the Ushiromia blood is bad at giving up. How pleasant. What a truly elegant night.
Master, Beatrice-sama, it will soon be time for the banquet.
Already? That was fast. Every night I pass with you goes by swiftly. The moon falls like an apple and the sun leaps out of the river like a small fish. It is time, so let us go. Rise, battler. The banquet to celebrate my revival will now begin. I'll introduce you as my new furniture. No, as my toy. To the dignitaries among witches. The witch was relaxing elegantly, her feet thrown out from the sofa and resting on the top of a footrest. However, the footrest wasn't a part of the sofa, but a human. A human down on all fours.
Beatrice-sama, your silk dress.
You are the guest of honor, but I am the host. I will go out first. It would have been nice if Shannon were here to help dress you, but unfortunately it seems she no longer remains. She's never around when I want to use her. An entirely useless person. However, you did well to remain here. I'm happy, my friend.
I'm grateful for your words.
Good. Wait downstairs, you two. Genji, good work. Set the dress down over there.
Certainly. Well then, Master.
We will go first. Beatrice, I will see you later. Indeed.
Kinzo and Genji left the study. After that, the witch and the dress and the furniture remained.
Do you know why I am not embarrassed to show myself to you naked? It's because you're furniture. Furniture. Understand? Furniture, just furniture. Who would feel shame at exposing their body to furniture? So there's no reason for me to feel shame in front of you.
The witch rose and her jacket slipped off just from her shoulders. After that, the jacket fell to the ground with a thump.
Thank you, Mickey.
When the furniture respectfully approached to pick up those clothes, the witch gave it a small kick, and it fell over. The furniture was afraid at what misconduct it might have shown.
Do you, as furniture, plan to force me to unbutton myself? Stand and undo the buttons, one by one, with care. Quickly, gracefully, with no mistakes. The guests are being kept waiting, so change my clothes quickly.
Yes.
Undo them with care. Those buttons are each worth more than one of your eyeballs. If you make a mistake and break them, I'll sew your eyeballs in instead.
The entrance hall was bustling with a crowd of shadowy people, and it sparkled gold with the gold butterflies flying about. The gentlemen in suits and tuxedos and the ladies in dresses looked like they were having a great number of friendly chats. At a glance, it might have looked like a fabulous medieval ball, while they all had one thing in common, and that thing was exceedingly bizarre, because all of them had goat heads.
Was it a goat mask masquerade? Or did they really have goat heads? It probably couldn't be the latter, but in this bizarre world, I didn't really know which was true. Kinzo was among those goat nobles, greeting them. Kinzo's greetings were more respectful than would have been expected, as though these were all honored guests. At that time, Genji's voice rang out through the hall. It was a voice calling for silence. That voice stopped the idle chatter, and everyone turned to face Genji.
Tonight, we celebrate the appearance of our Golden Witch who has achieved her revival, the Lady Beatrice. Everyone, please welcome her with your applause.
When Genji began to applaud, it quickly spread through the guests and became a roaring ovation. Then the Golden Witch appeared from the top of the large staircase. As she gracefully waved her hand, followed by a piece of furniture she was fond of, she slowly descended the staircase. The goat nobles offered unanimous words of celebration in some long-forgotten language, and those who were deeply intimate embraced, filled with joy at their reunion. As the witch offered greetings of reunion, the witch's furniture followed behind her the whole time. There was a chain around its neck. The other end was gripped in the witch's hand like it was a trained dog. It wasn't there to restrain him. Those chains were a restraining device whose only purpose was to wound the furniture's dignity. He wasn't permitted to wear anything else on his body. One of the young women goats mixed in with the goat nobles, quietly removed her goat mask as the furniture passed in front of her, and she spoke with eyes that had no light in them. That face seemed to belong to a long-haired young girl. How pitiful. Oh, Lady Berncastel, welcome. Do you like my furniture? That's a nice hobby. After saying only that, the witch called Berncastel once again put on her goat mask and was swallowed up by the shadows of the other tall goats. Sore loser! She's ticked off, isn't she? You're not wrong. The young woman goats giggled, and the witch once again let out a high-pitched laugh. Thank you for gathering here for my sake. Why don't we enjoy to the fullest this banquet of the witch where old friends have gathered from past, present, east, and west. Come, we will eat all night, drink all night, slurp all night, and chew to bits all night as we enjoy ourselves. Look at the clock as it marks when the ending hour and the beginning hour melt together. Come, let us begin the banquet of the witch. When the witch announced the beginning of the banquet, the large clock pointed to 2400, and the sound of a bell began to ring out. Come, now is the time. Open the golden door. All at once, the butterflies leafed in gold flew all around the inside of the room. Amidst the golden storm and the brilliant gold-colored light, the barrier between this world and another was cut open. Surrounded by the goats' delighted voices, the mansion of the human world and the mansion of those not human overlapped. And the members of the household who praised the resurrection of the Golden Witch scattered into gold butterflies and poured out of the depths of hell. It was a golden tornado, a rondo of golden demons. Come, tonight we will put aside rank, throw open the wine cellar, drop the snake's head into the liquor pot, throw cows and chickens into the furnace alive, drink and eat and sing and dance, sneer and kill and desecrate and degrade. Ah, Beatrice! Take me to the Golden Land now! To the Golden Land! Oh, ha! The goat nobles were suddenly crushing in around Kinzo, almost like they were kids demanding the signature of some famous movie star. There were only two differences. First, these were witches, not kids. And second, what these witches demanded was not a signature.
The sea of goat nobles began to drown Kinzo. Only Kinzo's laughing voice echoed throughout the area. It was a grand mixture of laughter and his death throes, and Kinzo became wine and meat and bread. An aroma if slurped, a rich taste if gnawed, and pleasant to tear to bits. The sound of his death throes lingered on sweetly, and if adorned with melted chocolate and golden argent, it would make a wonderful dessert. If you took the bones home, you could also use them in a soup. And the remains could even become toys for the children to play with, and they could also become splendid tools for fortune telling that always brought misfortune. That entire scene was watched by the furniture. It was all fantastical. It was all demonic. Was the quaking of its supposedly paralyzed heart proof that it could still feel fear? At that time, its knees buckled, and the furniture's body fell down in the middle of the carpet. After all, the witch had kicked those knees from behind. Kneel and show your respect. Rub your forehead against the carpet and show how vulgar you are. Put your hands behind your back and swear that you will offer all your flesh and blood to me. The furniture let out a painful voice. Fear is the most basic emotion humans have. Was that emotion reviving his sense of self, which should already have been slain? So you are still far from suitable for my furniture? Very well. I will carefully finish you, making you into the kind of furniture I like, the kind of fitting only for me. As you are now, I doubt you can offer more than entertainment for our guests. The goat nobles were surrounding the crouching furniture. It seemed their blazing blood-red eyes couldn't hide their ecstasy at this new young food they'd been given. And from the ugly teeth that sucked out of countless mouths, saliva, or maybe the traces of meat and wine that they had just eaten, dribbled down. As the furniture let out a wild scream. That wasn't what I read. That was not a wild scream that I read. That was a, like, oh my gosh, I just saw a mouse scream. It retreated, still sitting on its backside. But the circle of goat nobles was closing in. Then the furniture looked at the witch's face. It had surrendered to the witch, so, believing that the witch would show some compassion, it stared at her face in the end. But there was nothing but scorn on the witch's face, and she wasn't even facing the furniture anymore. The witch went off to greet an honored guest with whom she had crossed gazes. The goat nobles looked down upon the furniture. Actually, they had been waiting. Just like how one must remove the cork in order to drink champagne, they had just to wait for one thing before partaking of the offering served at this banquet. Of course, the furniture didn't know about this thing. But it came out of its mouth all by itself. Just like the unavoidable pop of a cork, it inevitably came out of his mouth. It was a scream. It was a sign that marked the beginning of the modest banquet at which he was to be served.
By now, the garden was one of both roses and gold. A gold-colored garden where gold butterflies, gold fairies, and gold lizards rampaged and flew about wildly. Maria, quickly! Run! Quickly, 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 quickly! Rosa grasped her gun, the blanket wrapped around the ingot, and ran at a speed Maria couldn't match. What just happened? I lost it. Sometimes pausing to call out at Maria to run faster. So she saw it every time. She saw the golden pursuers chasing them from the mansion. The mass of gold butterflies was chasing after them like a massive crawling hand, and strange-looking shadows with goat heads were chasing after them. There was no need for her to strain her eyes, because those blazing pupils told her what would happen if she was captured. Mama, wait! Mama, wait! Who? How? Maria fell down. For just an instant, Rosa was ashamed by thoughts of abandoning her daughter and running away, and at the instant her feet touched ground, she ran back. The goat head that had sprinted over to get the first bite grabbed hold of the back of Rosa's own child's hair and pulled. Mama! No! Rosa rammed into the goat head with her shoulders, spun, bashed the back of her elbow into the goat's jaw, and buried her knee into its protruding chest. And she thrust the barrel of the gun inside the goat head's mouth as it doubled over from the pain in its gut. Just try laying one finger on Maria in front of me. I'll show you just how lukewarm the hell you came from is. The blast from the Winchester's .45 long Colt bullet exploded inside the goat head's throat, and its medulla oblongata was instantly pulverized. .45 caliber Winchester. Okay, nice. The goat head hadn't understood. It had thought women were like pre-opened wine bottles. It had thought that turning them upside down would immediately make their deep red contents come out. Mama! Mama! Maria, who had been released, hugged Rosa. But the pursuers were still coming. They could see the giant goat heads, who had given up pretending to be human, running towards them from across the rose bushes. Rosa spilled several extra bullets, which had been in the pocket of her coat, all over the place, and told Maria to pick them up. Yes! Pick up! Maria, if Mama falls down, run! Go to the shore, and swim, and swim, and swim! There's nowhere for us to survive on this island. No! I'll stay with Mama! Ooh! Rosa's gun roared 4 times, but even though 4 shots really did hit the massive approaching goats in the chest, they didn't even flinch. The goats ran with a violent vigor, as though they planned to crush Rosa and Maria with those massive bodies. Put the bullet in! Quickly! Rosa grasped the blanket with the ingot in both hands, and she herself sprinted, pulling it along, without even an ounce of fear of those strange-looking giants. If it's to protect my daughter, I'll overcome even hell. I'll show you this golden dream! Rosa roared. The goat heads roared. That terribly heavy ingot, after picking up a fearsome centrifugal force and speed, slammed into the head of the goat head. Rosa pulled a fountain pen from her pocket, but she held it crooked. She placed it in her palm, in the gap between her middle finger and her ring finger, so that it stuck out when she made a fist, almost like a stinger was growing out of it. That stinger sliced into the left eye of the goat head as it fell over. Was the goat head's roar a scream? But Rosa's roar was different. She pulled back her fist and slammed it into the fountain pen that was still sticking into the goat head's eye. The pointed tip was gouged into the depths of his head. Mama, the bullet went in! Good job! As I grabbed the gun Maria had thrown, Hold on. As I grabbed the gun Maria had thrown, I finally heard the thunderous crash of the giant tumbling to earth. However, at the same time, I saw the goat head pursuers on the other side of the rose bushes increase in number. I've gained enough distance for now. I held onto the blanket wrapped around the ingot and the gun, and once again ran with Maria. Why am I running with a gun in my right hand and the gold in my left? Why don't I let go with one hand and grasp Maria's hand? I can't let go of the gun that protects my body. I can't let go of the gold that protects my future. But even so, I've let go of the hand of my daughter, the one who is my future. Run, run, run!
She got out of the rose garden and began to run down a staircase through a grove of trees.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Rosa knew. This path through the grove turned and twisted many times, and only seemed to be long. She tore straight through it. Only seemed to be long, but she tore straight through it. She had played here often since her childhood years, so she knew. To the beach, to the beach. To the sea, to the sea, to the sea. And after reaching the sea, nothing to do but swim, swim, swim. And if Maria can't swim, I'll carry her as I swim. There's nothing but death on this island. Is swimming with that gold ingot a good idea? I'm just saying, you got that gold ingot attached to your body in any way, you're gonna sink. Pretty sure. It's happened before, I'm sure. There's nothing but death on this island. Mama! As she raced down the stairs, she took a bad step. A violent pain ran up her left ankle, and her mind went completely blank. Rosa fell down several stairs, shocked by her ankle, which was bent at an odd angle. And the blanket with the ingot wasn't there. She had let go of it the instant she fell, and it had disappeared somewhere into the darkness. Only the gun was left. Tremors in the earth were getting closer. It was only a matter of time before the goat heads flooded in. She didn't want to imagine how many there would be, or how strange they would look. The lightly dancing gold pursuers arrived. The gold butterflies surrounded Rosa and Maria, waving and clamoring as though saying, "The prize is here, the prize is here." Rosa couldn't even try to get up. The violent pain from her broken ankle was so great that she couldn't ignore it, even in her last moments. What am I doing? I had the gold, which would have been worth several million yen. I might have been able to start over with that. And yet I fell, lost it, and now my own life is in danger, and Maria's too? What has my life been? I was born into an incomprehensible family, with irritating older siblings since the day I was born. What did I do? No matter what I did or didn't do, I was always in trouble and bullied and made fun of. What has my life been? Mama! 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 The roar inside Rosa's heart shriveled away and disappeared. It disappeared when she heard Maria's crying voice as she sobbed and clung to Rosa. Maria? Mama remembered something she's got to do. Please, go on ahead. No! No! I want to stay with Mama! I don't want Mama to die! Maria, even though I'm such a bad Mama, you still want to stay with me? Yeah, I want to stay with you. I want to stay with Mama. I made it look like I was putting you first, but I was always putting you off. I went to your athletic meet, I went to Parents' Day, but I was always thinking about how I appealed to the world, and you were never in my eyes. Are you saying you want to stay with that kind of mother? Even though I've been such a bad mother? Hey, Mama, did you know? You're my only Mama in this world. There's no good Papa and bad Mama. There's just one Mama. So I don't need any other Mama in this world. And I want to be your one and only Maria. Maria you want to spoil when you're in a good mood, and the Maria who's a nuisance and you don't want to be around aren't different people. There's only one Maria. So the scary Mama and the nice Mama are the same. To me, they're my one and only Mama. I was such an idiot. I didn't need gold. If only I just pulled you by the hand. I was such a stupid Mama. The shadows of the goats covered the sky even more thoroughly than the trees of the forest.
Their roars blotted out the world with fear. Rosa still hugging Maria, readied her gun with one hand. Maria, let's go together. I'll never leave you. Let's always stay together so that Mama never gets lost again. Yeah, we'll be able to see each other soon. We'll be together forever. We'll be able to see each other in the Golden Land. And then we'll play together. Play with the wolves and sheep puzzle. Mama hasn't solved more than one of the puzzles, but I've solved them all. So I'll be the riddle giver. She had bought it as a birthday present and then hadn't played it with Maria after that first night. Yes, we'll play together. I promise. Mama! Those eyes, sparkling like red-hot lava, looked just like a group of fireflies. They danced, closed in, and attacked. Ah, come on! Let whoever wants to eat the bullet Maria chambered for me step forward! Ah! When the seagulls cried, none were left alive. The Golden Witch has prepared a gift in commemoration of your recent sojourn. The new elements may be accessed from the title screen. Yeah, we got a new tea party, guys. Before we get into that, though, I'm going to, real quick, get up and move about because that last bit went on a bit longer than I expected. So I need a stretch. I am back, Christodium, and to answer your question, there are 8 episodes in total. But we're not quite done with this episode yet because there's still the tea party. Like the little wrap-up session. Yep, 8. 8. Mm-hmm. Rosa awoke from her doze. It must have been a very deep sleep. Her mind was hazy and she wasn't thinking clearly. Where is this? It felt like some mansion, but it didn't seem to be the Ushiromiya mansion. She could see a room that looked like a parlor, and there was some tea that had been prepared. It had probably been made for her. Around the room, some glitter that looked like gold leaf drifted about, making the scene look quite fantastical. When she eventually realized that they were gold butterflies, it further strengthened that impression. There was someone across from her. A woman. A lady. It was the portrait's witch. Now, let's take a look here. Oh, we've got some obituaries, guys. Let's see. Genji, missing. The unselfish piece of furniture sought nothing but repose in the Golden Land. However, since the idiot stubbornly rejects the Golden Land, his repose is unlikely to come anytime soon. Afterwards, he was munched to pieces and eaten by demons and went to hell. Kinzo, missing, finally reached the Golden Land he so desired. The idiot was once again unwilling to accept that, so the magic was spoiled for a second time. Even so, he was probably happy. After all, he managed to be reunited with the Golden Witch, if only for a brief time. Afterwards, he was crunched to pieces and was eaten by demons and went to hell. Let's see. Rosa, here we go. Well, where's Battler? Oh, not here. Oops. Rosa, missing. In the Golden Land, she finally found a treasure more precious to her than gold. However, that was short-lived, thanks to the idiot, which she would once again have to lose that which she had finally found. Afterwards, she was chewed up into a pulp by demons and went to hell. Ushiromiya Maria, missing. In the Golden Land, she learned that her mama still loves her. Satisfied for now. Beatrice, the Golden Witch who has lived for 1,000 years. She has already surpassed the limits of humans, and it is said that she will appear in response to a human summons, just as demons do, to lend them her power for a price. Likes black tea and ice cream, hates boredom and those who deny her existence. She seemed to be having a one-sided conversation. She was probably talking to Rosa, but Rosa, whose mind was clouded up by a deep fog, didn't have a clue what was being said. Choose whatever you please. If there's anything you want, I'll give it all to you. You can think of it as a reward for your good luck, or else as proper compensation for how you've answered to my demands. It may have been a truly trivial matter from your perspective. However, the deal was important enough to me to be deserving of this reward. What is she talking about? I don't know. It's just that I am very much a witch. Perhaps you'd best ask for something only a witch can give you. What a rare chance this is, to actually receive the favor of Beatrice the Golden, me. Finally, Rosa started to feel the blood flowing through her body. Her movements were still sluggish, and she couldn't even voice the words she was thinking. I am commonly called the Golden Witch. Bestowing a mountain of gold like the one I gave Kinzo is trivial to me. After all, you can measure all the pleasures of the human world with money. Therefore, gold is no more or less than the manifestation of the human world's pleasures. Can you imagine it? A mountain of gold that you couldn't use up as long as you lived? As the witch blew on her pipe, multicolored smoke enshrouded their surroundings. As she did this, the inside of the parlor was suddenly filled with stacks of gold ingots. It looked like a shining gold-colored wall. If each ingot was worth several 10 million yen, how much would all of this be worth? It seems sinful to even think of such a number. However, the human world is difficult. I know there are some things that cannot be settled no matter how high in the sky you pile up gold. I know there are cracks that cannot be filled. I won't make light of that, which is why this is a gift that only a witch such as I can give. Why don't I fill those cracks in for you? Yes, how about this? It's something only I can give. You should be very happy. There is actually no gameplay in this, Zervian. We are, like, in the wrap-up for episode 2 out of 8 episodes. And so far each episode has been roughly 9 streams in length, at about 2 hours apiece, so do the math. Great story, though. Great story. No need to thank me out loud. I can tell right away. It's written on your face and in the corners of your heart. Rosa felt a touch of discomfort at this witch, who kept on talking even though Rosa hadn't uttered a single word. But since she still couldn't manage to speak, and was so helpless that it was difficult to even move a finger, she couldn't do anything but listen. I'm liking this music here. I don't remember hearing this music a lot. How far must the deep wounds in your heart recede before they can be healed? This is deep. Quite deep indeed. Sometimes wounds close up while a fragment of foreign matter remains inside. Even when such wounds appear to have healed, they continue to throb for all eternity. Sometimes you have to open the wound once more in order to heal it completely. Well, actually, Christonium, I will be taking a break from Umineko next week because I need a bit of a change of pace. So haven't exactly decided what I'll be streaming then, but we shall see. And Zervian, it is kind of like a comic book with voice acting. I would say it's closer to a comic book than manga with voice acting, because there's no panels here, but everything is read from left to right instead of right to left, and everything's in color. Everything's in color. That's a big distinction between comic books and manga. However, the writing quality is manga, not comic book. Comic books are crap these days. Well, at least the more let me rephrase that. The vestiges of what were once the more popular comic books. As the witch spoke, she stared deep into Rosa's eyes. What in the world was she peering at? Rosa felt uncomfortable, but she couldn't look away. So, your pain was already fated by the time of your birth. How heartbreaking. You don't have to say it. I understand. I understand. Although I will say, the voice acting, Zervian, is actually in Japanese. I am providing the English voiceover. There was supposed to be an official English dub at one point, but it's been 3 years and we've not heard anything of it for quite some time. You'd think they would have written us a letter by now, but no. Rosa was being gradually sucked into the witch's eyes. Then the world grew dark, spinning round and round as she was sucked in.
Rosa, Rosa, why are you such an idiot?
Oh, that's Kraus Nissan's voice. Kraus Nissan is a real adult, so he's very smart. So he's hated the stupid kid, Rosa. He was a very scary person. I was often hit, and my toys were taken from me and broken. I was apparently being punished for something bad I'd done, but I never really understood what it was, or why I was being punished. I was always punished suddenly, and then later told what the punishment was for in a forced manner. But it was always something I didn't remember doing. So I really hated Kraus Nissan. Rosa, Rosa, why are you such an idiot? Oh. Gosh dang it, I thought that was Beatrice there. Oh, that's Ava Nasan's voice. Ava Nasan is a real adult, so she's very smart. So she hated the stupid kid, Rosa. She was always a very sly person, and she often lied to me, tricked me, bullied me all the time. Apparently I was stupid, and she said it was only natural for stupid people to be swindled by those smarter than them. So I wanted to become a wise person like Ava Nasan and listen to what she said, but when I obeyed her for some reason, someone always got really mad at me. So I really hated Ava Nasan.
Rosa, Rosa, why are you such an idiot?
Oh, that's Rudolph Nissan's voice. Rudolph Nissan really knows how to get things done, so he hated the stupid kid, Rosa. When Kraus Nissan was around, he would be friendly with Kraus Nissan. When Ava Nissan was around, he would be friendly with Ava Nissan. When Kraus Nissan wasn't around, he would be violent like Kraus Nissan. And when Ava Nissan wasn't around, he would play dirty like Ava Nissan. And even though he was also bullied most of the time, when Kraus Nissan and Ava Nissan weren't around, he gave me 2 people's worth of bullying. So I really hated Rudolph Nissan. Oh, but these were my memories from when I was a kid. It's common for unfair things to happen between kids, and you mustn't hold on to grudges for such things forever. With time, those memories get buried away, and forgetting them bit by bit is supposed to be part of growing up and becoming an adult. So becoming an adult is the same as separating yourself from all those memories. And because of that, no matter how much time passed, Rosa couldn't become an adult.
Even though she had been blessed with a daughter called Maria and was called a mother, she didn't at all feel like she had become an adult. The witch pitied her for that, and she smiled, saying that she could heal that pain herself.
How can I heal you? It's possible, but not easy. I might rewind time, and giving you a world where you have no I might rewind time and give you a world where you have no older siblings. But that way, your memories of being hurt by your older siblings wouldn't remain. And in that sense, while you might call it a gift, you wouldn't be able to accept it. A person is only satisfied when their starvation is healed. But if you make it so they never starved in the first place, none of them will thank you. Just like how there are no young people who give thanks for their daily gluttony. Understand? I think she's telling me something really complicated. In short, even if she makes it so I never had older siblings, that wouldn't remove my pain. Maybe that's what she's saying? Strictly speaking, that's not quite right. Healing isn't the same thing as removing pain. It's the pleasure we earn as compensation for withstanding pain. Therefore, removing the pain isn't healing. To know the joy of healing, you have to know the pain. Which means you must know joy in order to compensate you for your pain. You should be proud of your past sufferings. After all, they are what makes it possible for you to know pleasure that those without pain will never experience. To those who experience this pleasure cannot help but pass on the same joy to others. When the witch snapped her fingers, even though the room was still filled with a mountain of gold and had already lost all semblance of reality, a fabulous tablecloth appeared on top of the table, and a wonderful meal was laid out, almost as though it was the opening of a banquet in a castle from some fairy tale. For an instant, Rosa truly did feel a pleasurable surprise at how fabulous it was, but at the same time, she felt a bit of an anticlimax. After all, she didn't think being bullied by her siblings could be wiped away by just one meal, no matter how delicious. Food is the source of many human pleasures. You simply must eat like a pig as long as you live. If one meal isn't enough, then have as many as you want. Until the pain of your heart is healed, why not continue this gourmet banquet? Begin it, furniture. As the witch clapped twice, there were suddenly 2 goat-head servants there, and they began to prepare the meal. From the beautiful dishes adorning the table, they efficiently took some food and began to pile it up on Rosa's plate. It really did look delicious, but Rosa's body still felt as heavy as lead, and there was no way she'd be able to eat. Maybe they also understood that. The goat-head servants tied a napkin around Rosa's collar, and gallantly brought a glass of before-dinner alcohol to her mouth, tilting it for her. She remembered an old servant who had once carried rice porridge to her mouth when she was laid up with a high fever. She couldn't drink it well, and it dripped down from her mouth, but she felt the fragrant sweetness spread throughout her mouth. It's a sweet aperitif of noble wrought German-made wine, a wine cocktail of white wine mixed with a crimson golden drop. If I had to give it a name, I'd call it a Bloody Kraus. Soaked with just a golden drop of your brother's blood that was squeezed out of a compressor. Rosa coughed violently, and the bright red that stained her face made it look as though she had coughed up blood. You know a lot about black tea, so you should know what that means, right? Golden drop refers to the last drop in a drink. It is called the most precious drop in black tea. So a golden drop of blood is the same. The last and most precious drop of blood squeezed out of a human. We squeeze it using that. As the witch snapped her fingers, a bright red veil that had been set up before something large was removed. The solemn and massive machine was just like a coffin for a large-sized person, with many large bulb-like things stuck to it, and it looked like a sinister torture device. By its unnerving shape, she could tell that with a human strength, it could be used to tighten and compress something. And it seemed that there was still some squeezed dregs remaining, because of the bright red remains that stained it. Because of the bright... Hold on, sorry, let me read that. And it seemed that there were still some squeezed dregs remaining, because of the bright red remains that stained it. But you can't take more than one golden drop at once. No matter what kind of human you take it from, you can't get more than one drop. But I am a witch. Reviving a person is easy for me. When the witch snapped her fingers, the human compressor suddenly began to shake. No, she could also hear a groan. It looked almost as though someone sleeping in that man-sized coffin had woken up and was now struggling to get out. But that was wrong. What was inside definitely had been squeezed dregs. Using her magic, the witch had once again revived the squeezed dregs to how they'd been before they were squeezed. The 3 goat-head servants with muscular physiques approached the compressor and forcefully started tightening the large bulb. As they did, an unearthly moan came in from inside the coffin. Rosa thought she knew the owner of that voice. It is fitting for cooking to be done in the kitchen. Enough, stand back. Do you understand how precious a golden drop is? To have it stained this crimson requires that several dozen people's worth be squeezed. The witch definitely said that only one golden drop could be taken from a single human, and yet she had dozens of people's worths of golden drops from a single human. Only a witch could do this. The golden witch Beatrice could kill a single human endlessly. In other words, before Beatrice, even death did not mean freedom. Do you need me to put it in a different way? Have you forgotten the day this man hit you when you swallowed the blood that ran into your mouth? That's right, remember that taste! Remember the taste of the tears that you spilled until you were dry. I believe this aperitif will be sufficient to heal that regrettable memory. Once again, the goat-head servants tilted a deep red glass against her mouth. Rosa tried resisting by closing her lips, but the deep red liquid was relentlessly poured into her mouth, which hung open with shock, and the inside of her mouth was filled with a ghastly sweetness. It definitely was a fragrant sweetness. The living blood of her brother, who had given her such hateful thoughts and made her soak her pillow so many times, had been collected from his death, repeated dozens of times. How could the crimson-stained wine not be sweet? But Rosa tried to spit it out. Because of that, the deep red wine that spilled out of Rosa's mouth looked just like a bloodstain. Now that she knew this ghastly substance was a simple aperitif, Rosa couldn't help but feel uncomfortable about what would happen if this banquet continued. That is a double-tongued salad made from vegetables in season. On your 9th birthday, you made a wish that you'd someday get to chew this to bits. This salad made from Ava's tongue. When Rosa heard the true nature of the pink-colored meat piled up in the salad, she had a sudden impulse to vomit her guts out. Furthermore, the goat servant stuck a fork in it and carried it to Rosa's mouth. How does your double-tongued sister taste? It must be quite soft and enchanting, right? It probably would be quite sweet, soft, and enchanting in her mouth. After all, Ava's lies were always sweet, and young Rosa had always listened to them. And you might say the stimulating pepper seasoning expressed the truth behind those lies well. As the tongue salad that kept being pushed into Rosa's mouth was covered with saliva, she spat it out. But the goat-head servants carefully returned it to the plate and carried it to Rosa's mouth over and over again. It goes without saying, but I made this salad liberally using 5 of Ava's tongues. You can't get more than 1 tongue out of a person, but I can get them over and over. As Rosa's tears dripped down, she resisted frantically. However, the only way she could resist was by refusing to swallow. Even if she didn't swallow it, the taste of the French dressing increasingly permeated Rosa's mouth. French dressing, that's appropriate for tongue salad. Sorry. Does it not please you? There's lots more. Sea bass pie wrapped in the skin of Rudolph's face. Soup with boiled brains, liver pate, and look forward to dessert. It's not just your siblings, see? I have lavishly assembled all of those whom you have trusted and yet by whom you were betrayed. Why don't we continue this banquet for all eternity until your heart is satisfied? For all eternity. You're happy, right, Ushiromiya Rosa? Don't pretend you hate it. I know that you're actually happy, Kay? If you want to laugh, then do so. And if you won't feel better until you've heard a raw performance of your annoying older siblings' screams, I'll let you hear them as much as you like. Fear not, your reluctance doesn't trouble me. That's just your personality, right? On the inside, you're actually so happy that your skin is crawling all over, and yet on the outside, you're merely pretending that all of this causes you pain, yes? It's alright. Here, there's no need to worry about honor or your public image or anything. So laugh as much as you want and chew it to bits. Isn't this the best banquet, Ushiromiya Rosa? Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to leave dessert as a surprise, but let me reveal it now anyways. Maybe that will be enough incentive for you to eat up the full course. Your dessert is that beloved daughter that you had to keep pretending to love. Oven-baked Maria with apples. Doesn't that sound yummy? Once you eat this, you'll be released from everything. Freedom, you see? Freedom! Finally, Rosa will gain freedom as an individual person. Aren't you happy? You should be happy. Drool is hanging from your mouth. Just try looking in a mirror. Suddenly, a muscular goat cook was holding Maria under his arm, and Maria gazed at Rosa with a face that was only slightly sad. Mama, was I a burden? You aren't a burden! As Rosa spat out the food that was continually being carried to her mouth, as she was covered with filth and saliva and blood, she resisted filthily and screamed. If you think I'm a burden, I don't mind if you eat me. After all, I'm always doing horrible things to you. Even when you bring a man over, I can't stay quiet. When you spend the night out with a man, I get lonely and unruly and make a mess of my room. When I go to search by myself, I get lost. The police pick me up and you're shamed. When you don't come home for several days and I cry and I have to be consoled by the neighbors, you're shamed. Because I'm like this, I'm a burden to Mama. Sorry for being born. So I'll become delicious oven-baked apples for Mama's sake. And then maybe Mama will be happy I exist for the first time. Maybe she'll eat me and think I'm delicious. Isn't it delicious? Be choked up with tears of gratitude. Your daughter is saying this much for you, right? Oven-baked apples and your beloved daughter make for the best desserts. You've managed to raise such delicious ingredients. Aren't you the best mother, Ushiromiya Rosa? Mama, thanks for everything. Bye-bye. Wait! Wait, Maria, that's wrong! Stop it already! Stop it already! No! I didn't want something like this! Please stop! Please forgive me! No! No, stop it already! Don't put it in my mouth! Have you been satisfied with my hospitality? Then I'll have you accept it. That I am a witch. Proclaim it. Ushiromiya Rosa accepts that Beatrice is a witch. I accept it! Ushiromiya Rosa accepts that Beatrice is a witch. So give Maria back! Release me! I finally made you acknowledge it! That crafty battler has already surrendered, and I made Rosa the fool who denied me even after being invited to the Golden Land. Accept it! Perfect! It's perfecto! I have accomplished my perfect victory! Come, bring Maria, prepare a delicious oven roast for Rosa. No! Maria! Looks delicious. Slice up your cow tits and make me a sandwich. What? That voice! Oh! An arm grabbed the back of the witch's head and smashed her face into the table. As it did, the witch broke to pieces, turned into a cloud of gold butterflies, and returned into her body at a short distance away. Reformed into her body a short distance away. Battler! You bastard! I thought you'd surrendered so far that even your soul was furniture. Me too. But while I was listening to that gross recipe, I started to get a little hungry. Now I feel like eating a whole roast witch. And Maria, it's 10 years too early for you to talk about having someone eat you up. But in 10 years, you better say that to me, promise. Ooh, promise. Battler-kun. Sorry to keep you waiting, Aunt Rosa. I had forgotten. This is a one-on-one fight between me and this woman. It's totally wrong for me to give in. Thanks to you hanging in there, I've gotten my will to fight back. This person, he gave up down to the depths of his soul and surrendered to me, didn't he? I see. He doesn't know when to give up. Just what I'd expect from Ushiromi Akinzo's grandchild. So the chick of a phoenix is a phoenix after all. I'm sure that wasn't a reference. And thank you, Servian, for the maniacal laughter comment. How dashing! How amusing! I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have you any other way, battler. Try to deny me, and I'll completely and thoroughly smash you to bits. Let me make you surrender over and over again. I'll teach you, one who has licked my shoes, the taste of defeat over and over again. No problem. I'll teach you that I, Ushiromi, a battler, am a man who can stand back up even after crawling through the mud. I've never been invincible in a fight. I've lost loads of times. And I'll definitely crawl through the mud and stand up again. And then I'll finish this. In a man's fight, you don't lose until you accept defeat, no matter how much you get beat up. Don't think I'm out just because you took a shot at me. I'll give you a good show, Beatrice! I'll accept your challenge, Ushiromi, a battler. Furniture, begin preparations for the next game. While we're waiting, why don't you tell me all about it? There were a lot of closed rooms in this game. Using red, I've smashed to bits most of the methods by which you tried to talk yourself out of them. What other evasive quibbles will you show me now? The lock to the chapel, the lock to Jessica's room, the lock to the servant room, the lock to the Natsuhi's room, the lock to the parlor. Use your bizarre specialty. Those delusions, rantings, daydreams, and bluffs all slanted with the ridiculous, incredible turns of events and show how you can thoroughly deny me! It's useless. It's all useless! And yet, we're still not quite done yet because we've still got the question mark event. So we will let the credits roll here. Slowly roll. Excuse me. The vocal version of this. I don't think I've actually seen the English translation though of this though. You can hear them say merry-go-round. Excuse me. How long is this song? Okay, so special thanks to all 7th expansion staff. That's usually a good clue that we're getting close. 15 minutes? No, I've got this song on my phone. I just don't remember how long it is. Yeah, we're getting logos now, so. I do like the composition of that song, though. Just, yeah, wasn't expecting it to be quite so long. Because we've still got more stuff to get to before this stream ends. Here. There we go. Yeah, new elements added. Question mark event has been added. The new elements may be accessed from the title screen. All right. All right, last bit here. Welcome to the tea party of those who are not human. Well then, did you find that game enjoyable? A game that one-sided goes beyond being riveting. It's boring. My, but you're as harsh as always. Considering how proud I was to have created a development so impactful that it might satisfy even the boredom-hating Lady Bernkastel, this response is quite harsh. Well, I will admit it was impactful. However, it was horrible as a fair game. Unless you make the conditions a bit more even. Are you saying there's no way to win? Not even for Lady Bernkastel? I wonder what you mean by that, Beato. There's no need to try and fool me. I already know that you're no bystander. Were you planning on hiding it? You're an outrageous person to come into someone else's territory from such a great distance to work against them. You came to watch from the sidelines and probably to push strongly for my defeat. I've guessed right, haven't I? And if so? Truly amusing. That I should be granted a chance to fight against Lady Bernkastel, the strongest of witches who defeated Lady Lambda Delta, is truly a pleasure. Yes, I'm also pleased. I came all this way because I really wanted to see you, brimming with confidence, fall apart and lose. What an honest person! Even so, it would be a shame if the contest between me and the great Lady Bernkastel was resolved without at least one observer. You called her here, didn't you? That kid. I found you! I finally found you, Bernkastel! How are you, Lambda? Looks like you've got lots of spare time, too. I wonder if it's fate that the pair who hates boredom should run into each other again. Stupid kid! Can't you see you've only won against me because of little luck and its problem of compatibility? Oh my gosh, thank you, Paul for All Seasons, for the raid. So, how was your stream, Paul? And thank you, El Capo Live, for being here. I see you there. Welcome. And hey there. Okay. Give me just a moment. Let me get a shout out for Paul here. doing all right, Capo. Glad to have you here. All right. Guys, go check out Paul for All Seasons. They were playing Elden Ring, and I believe I saw a little blurb about some Horizon Forbidden West during the same stream. How'd that go? Yeah, always enjoy joining in on Paul's stream, so definitely go check him out. El Capo Live, I know you've streamed. I have just not been in the position to actually participate in one of your streams when you've streamed. But I'm going to. Oh, Horizon didn't happen? Okay. Well, it is what it is. Alright. Yeah, once I've actually seen you stream, then I can shout you out. I want to make sure that it's... Elden Ring is too addictive. Oh, I know. Like I finally broken away just a little bit from Elden Ring. Like, I've tried going back and starting up some Dead Space because I never actually finished that, and I kind of want to do that before the remake comes out. But I'm still working on Elden Ring. I'm just, like, kind of balancing it a bit now. Anyway, oh, that reminds me, I forgot to give Zervian a shout out earlier. Hold on. Alright, yeah, guys, check out Zervian. The only thing I've ever seen him stream is poker, but if you like poker and you want to see him work on that, I mean, he must be doing something right because he's made it, I mean, he made it to affiliate way faster than I did, so, yeah, go check him out. Absolutely worth it. Okay, where was I?
Stupid kid. Can't you see you only won against me because of a little luck and a problem of compatibility? After that, you became such a brag, and now you're even picking a fight with Beatrice? Shouldn't you learn your place? Beatrice is strong, and she's even more brutal than I am. Oh, you streamed Mario Kart once? Dang it, I missed it. Just a bit. And by the way, don't go shortening people's names without their permission.
You're dumb too, Beato. If this kid's in your game, she'll make a mess of everything. I certainly didn't just bring Lady Lambda Delta here to watch from the sidelines. Oh, we've got bios here. Hold on. Lambda is new, so we'll read hers. The Witch of Certainty who has lived for 1,000 years. She embodies the idea that hard workers are rewarded and is highly respected even by humans. Though she is a witch, she does not stray far from the concept of humans. For that reason, her power as one worshipped by humans is incalculable. However, she is fickle about whose efforts she chooses to reward, and in many cases she bestows her favor upon those who can please her the most. Her massive, swift, and terrifying power can cause any witch to submit in an instant. However, she is often reckless, and Bernkastel was able to take full advantage of that. There we go. After informing me that you were betting against me, she said that she would bet against you. You're still holding a grudge, aren't you?
Because I'm the strongest witch in the universe. But I lost to you, which means I'm not the strongest. So any enemy of yours is my ally.
And there you have it. With the great Lady Bernkastel as our opponent, this may not even count as a handicap, but it should make for good entertainment. Do as you like. Now that I've been exposed, allow me to get serious. That would be well. Going easy has never been written in my dictionary. Lady Lambda Delta, let us enjoy our precious time together.
Yeah, I'll be counting on you, Lady Beatrice. I've been betrayed pretty bad by her, too. Until the two of us smash her up and pay her back double, I won't be able to rest.
I'll be counting on you, Lambda. And you, Beato. No matter what we fight over, this will be a very significant battle for us all.
That's right. Of course, I don't plan on losing, but we've got a goal beyond who wins and who loses.
You don't say. After all, we hate boredom. The three witches giggled, cackled, and guffawed. That's right. I should thank you, Beato. It looks like I'll finally be able to escape my boredom. Do your best to entertain me, along with Lambda Delta. Leave it to me.
If we're decided, Beato, then let's start a strategy meeting right now. I know all this girl's weak points, and I'll teach you all of them.
And yet, Lady Lambda Delta, you were defeated by her.
I won't tell you. I won't tell you.
See, I found you grow fast on Twitch if you stream the same game every single day and also know what you're talking about with regards to said game. See, and I'm a variety streamer, so that wasn't in the cards for me.
Soon.
She's never boring, that Lady Lambda Delta. Isn't she? Take care of her. She gets lonely easily. I see. So she's one of those that are popular these days. As expected from Lady Lambda Delta. I believe she's referring to the tsundere archetype. Quite cutting edge. Go already. That kid's waiting for you to chase after her. Then, if you'll excuse me, see you next game. I'm sorry. That troublesome one came, but don't mind it. More importantly, things sure got ugly. I thought I experienced a very tragic end in Lambda's game. But this one is exceptionally horrible. I can't say I don't understand why you're hugging your knees and closing up your heart. If you meet a fate like that a few more times, it'll take a lot less than 100 years to kill your heart. Byoto saw through me, so I'll confess. You are now just like I was in the past, when I was imprisoned inside Lambda's world. Shut inside a labyrinth of cruel fate, tormented by a witch, in a manner of speaking. I am a witch who was born from there, so maybe I'm like an older sister to you. So I decided that I'd lend you my power. However, even compared to my fate, yours is truly brutal. Not only do I sympathize with you, I'm almost brought to tears by your tragic fate. But please, don't lose heart. Please don't submit to Beato no matter what. Certainly that child's game is quite unfair. I've only been allowed a glimpse of the game board, but the unfair and clever devices set up on the stage are so disgusting that I imagine they far surpass those on Lambda Delta's game board. And what's even more frightening is that when that kid moves a piece, she doesn't always make the best possible move. This is where she's very different from Lambda. Lambda always uses an overpowering number of pieces to make the best possible move in order to win, but Beato sometimes intentionally goes easy on her opponent when she moves her pieces. Since when we're in trouble, we try to seek out our opponent's strategy by looking out their moves, this creates a very formidable amount of noise in our information. That might cause a troublesome amount of disorder. However, as in chess, though a player might be able to create some noise for their opponent with a useless move, they'll still miss out on the more valuable move they avoided. In other words, it's not like your opportunities to take advantage of this are zero. Although you may not be able to believe it, that analogy holds true for this game as well. Even though those developments looked so overpowering, there actually was a weak point. A weak point that almost looks like she wanted you to take advantage of it. Though I don't know if it's a trap or if she's testing us. Anyway, don't surrender. Don't stop thinking. Don't deny any possibility. As long as you continue to hold the will to fight, Beato will not win. What's the most important element in defense and during a witch's battle? Rather than trying to win, try not to lose. If accepting her means your defeat, then you definitely mustn't accept her, making you accept witches. There is no longer any doubt that this is one of Beatrice's victory conditions. Now that I have announced that I'm your ally, I too will make as great an effort as possible to lend you my power. Make an effort yourself as well. If you're still hugging your knees, quickly stand back up. In times like this, what did I used to say again? Go for it. Yeah. Me pa. It's so embarrassing doing this. I've done this much for you, so quickly stand back up.
Ah, there you are. I wonder where Baron shrank off to. Could she be any more lame? Even so, just like usual, the pieces Byrne chooses are pretty shabby. It's the same with chess, right? If all of your pieces were pawns, you'd have zero chance to win, right? If all of your pieces were rooks and bishops, you definitely wouldn't lose. Well, last time, right, when I felt just a little pity and said she could start with her pieces anywhere she wanted, that idiot Byrne, without taking notice of my compassion, started with all of her pawns on my side of the board. What's up with that? That wasn't a loss or anything. Just remembering it makes me queasy. Because of that, I won't be able to rest until I see Byrne's speechless face. And since you, Byrne's piece, fucked up so bad, I'm feeling just great. Plus, you may not look it, but that girl really hates to lose. So I'll bet she's off somewhere grinding her teeth and crying her eyes out right now. How totally lame. Come on, laugh with me. Wait a sec. Are you still hugging your knees? You're already like this just because Beato got a little serious. Could you be any more pathetic? You're so pathetic, I'll help you just a little bit. I, the great Lady Lambda Delta, the Witch of Certainty, and the strongest in the universe, will associate myself just a tiny bit with you and your hopeless chance of winning. You should thank me. You know, Beatrice may really be a cruel and powerful witch, but she's no match for me. Why? Because she's soft. Though she'll set up the board in a way that'll let her win with just a few more moves, she'll intentionally avoid cornering you. She'll do things like take worthless pieces and place excess pieces on the board to make things more one-sided. Simply put, she's got the bad habit of playing around as soon as she thinks she's won. Almost all the various attacks that hurt you and Byrne look like utter waste and overkill to me. In other words, she's got a weakness and you've got a chance. See? She isn't an opponent to be afraid of, right? She sometimes mistakes her means for her ends. And she has too much dark fun. Sometimes that even ends up creating and exposing her own weak points. For a super powerful witch like me, it's hard to understand why she's able to act so tough. Why she lowers her own chances of winning. But, well, because of that, a witch like Byrne, who likes to thoroughly read her opponent, has a really bad affinity with her. Because reading her doesn't work. Maybe it's really easy for Byrne to read and handle a straightforward and honest type like me, annoyingly enough. Well, still, a super firepower type like me can flat out beat up a light, wide-range barrage type like Beatrice. So it's kind of like rock, paper, scissors. If I'm paper, Beato is rock, which means Byrne is scissors. Well, maybe that doesn't matter. Even though my paper loses to Byrne scissors, if I was a sheet of super paper, which was way more awesome than normal paper, I could beat even scissors, right? Basically, I, Lady Lambda Delta, am super paper, which is translated as a moron in the original Japanese. The manga actually had a really good way of localizing that. They localized it as I'm super thick paper. It looks like you've regained a bit of your color. At Beato, she's having fun torturing some piece called Rosa. At a glance, you'd think she has really nasty tastes, right? Wrong! She's just killing time, hoping that you'll stand back up in return. It's a mood to fire up your righteous indignation by intentionally doing something detestable. Ah, man, I hate kids like that. Anyway, I'll head on back. Ah. Don't tell anyone about me helping you out just a little bit. I mean, it's not like to help you because I wanted to save you, okay? I, the strongest witch in the universe, had my throne stolen away when I lost to Burn. So I gotta take that throne back from her. But if she loses to Beato here, then it's Beato who'll get the position of strongest next, right? Well, it's not like I'm complaining. It'd be easier to steal the throne back from Beato, but then I wouldn't be satisfied, you see? I will defeat Burn, and I'll take back my position as the strongest. It's not like I'm really helping you, okay? I won't forgive you if you make Burn cry. Okay, the next game board has been unlocked. We've got new elements from the title screen. Interesting. Let's see what we got here. Ah, yes. Okay, so we've got new characters, new tips to go through. But let me see if there's anything particular. Oh, these are just the ones that we're going over. Okay, this is regarding the golden butterfly brooch, which Beatrice gave Shannon. It says, in order to mediate the relationship between the opposite sex, it favorably edits all their fate numbers and mediates their relationship. Since it is nothing more than a favorable edit, large differences can be seen in its effects depending on the individual. Hence, if the witch giving this item does not measure with care whether the target she will give this item to will be able to use it effectively or not, she risks being called a liar. The activation cost is enormous, and to many human beings it will be no more useful than a simple brooch. However, blind love pays enormous costs with ease. If there is goodwill from the other partner in addition, the effects will become even more dramatic. Ironically, the more dramatic the effects are, the less of a need there was for such a brooch in the first place. Interesting. Which is score sheet. Okay, so that's all what had happened over the course of the game, so we don't need to worry about that. Alright, so that is the end of episode 2. As I said, I'm taking a break from Umineko streaming for a few Wednesdays. I'm not entirely sure when I will be back, but yeah, I just need to have a little bit something different to break this up. Let me see who is online for a raid. Okay, looks like Revolution Live is streaming Kirby and the Forgotten City, so we'll go raid him. This is Dr. Novelle signing out for their evening. Oh, hold up. We can't have that playing just yet. Yeah, I'm signing out for the evening. Hope you guys have a good one. Thank you guys so much for the raid. Appreciate you being here. Let us spread that love over to Reeve. Have a good one.